A sharp knife is a safer knife. A dull knife can tend to stick or slip and cause accidents. So it's important that you keep your blades nice and sharp by using either a sharpening stone or a honing steel. Today I'm going to show you how to use both to keep your knives in best working order. My name's Chef Jeremy with Lineage Culinary, and today we're talking about sharpening knives. First thing I want to talk about is a honing steel. That's what I have here. And these come in different shapes. Some of them are flat, some are round. There are diamond steels. And the basic premise of this is you want to put the blade of your knife at about a 20-degree angle and then slide it all the way down from heel to tip, alternating on each side. Now you're going to want about a 20-degree angle, now maybe a little more or less depending on the knife. If you place your knife perpendicular with the steel, that's 90 degrees. Now if you go halfway, you're at 45 degrees. Another halfway towards the steel is 22 and a half. So if you go a little lower than that, you're around 20 to 17 degrees, which is where you're going to want to be for most knives. Now there's two ways that you can hold your honing steel. The first is by putting your thumb and your forefinger behind the guard, take your knife, place it, again, 20-degree angle, and slide it down. And you should hear that sound. It should make a ringing sound, not a grinding sound. The grinding sound means you're pushing too hard. You want to hear a ring? I like to say you can hear the knife singing when you're using a honing steel the right way. Now, if you use your honing steel often, you should use this a lot. Anytime I start to chop anything, I hone my knives. What that does is that refinishes that blade and gets it nice and sharp. Another way you can hold your honing steel is by placing it up and down vertically, placing the tip on a non-slip surface, and then going down and up like this. I don't do it this way very often, so I'm not good at it. And really, neither way is right or wrong. I like this way. It's more comfortable for me. But either way is fine. As long as you're careful and you're doing it with the right technique, you won't cut yourself. From time to time, the steel's not going to be enough. If you go 5 or 6 passes on each side on the steel and your knife's still not sharp, then it needs to be put on a stone. And that's what I have here. Now, there are many different types of stones. What I have here is a triple stone. And I really like, this is from Norton. I like that brand a lot. We use one in the restaurant that's similar to this. It's a little bit bigger, but this is a good home version. And this has 3 sides to it. It has a coarse, a medium, and a fine grit. So you want to start with the coarsest side of the stone. Now, I'm not always using the coarse side because I don't typically let my knives get so dull that I need this side. So often I'm starting on medium. If you really need a lot of work on your edge, definitely start with the coarse side. We're going to start on the medium side. And one thing I've noticed about this stone is it does tend to rock just a little bit. So what I like to do is put a cloth in there, and that keeps it sturdy. So I have a lot less rocking on the stone. Now you want to put some mineral oil, liberally place that so it's all over the stone. And then I'm going to find my angle. Again, I want to go about 20 degrees. So 90, 45, that's about 20. That's what I'm looking for. Now the key here is you really want to make sure that you keep your angle the same. If you start sharpening and then you lift your angle up, that's going to cause you to dull your knife more than it is sharpen it. Some stones come with these little guides, and this one does here. It comes with that's a 17-degree guide. This is a 20-degree guide. And those are nice to kind of find out where you want to be. For me, what I know is I know that my thumb about halfway, a little over halfway up my thumb, and I barely touch the stone, that's about 17 to 20 degrees where I want to be. So I use that as a guide. Now the other thing you want to do is you don't really want to move the knife with your wrists. You want to lock your wrists in place and use your hips to push the knife. I'm pushing with my hips. I'm rotating my hips versus doing my wrists like this, because as I start doing this, you can see things start getting wobbly, right? So I want to hold, lock everything in place, and then turn with my waist and my hips. Same thing on this side. And again, on this one, I know that if I put my fingers a little bit over the edge and I just barely graze the top of the stone, then I'm at a good angle. And again, I'm turning with my hips. My knees are bending. My feet are planted. I'm not moving with my wrists. So I'm going to continue doing that on each side, about five to 10 times on each side, depending on how much the knife needs. And what you're doing is, as you're pushing that knife, the metal starts to move forward and it creeps over the side, and that's called a burr. And you want that. A burr is what you need to sharpen your knife. So as you do that, the burr will start creeping over, and then you go to this side and the burr will push over like this, and then it will start to get smaller and smaller. You'll end up taking that burr off on the finer part of the stone. Now, burr is something you can't see with the naked eye, but you can feel it. It's very, very light to the touch. But once you do it enough, you can start to feel that burr. The amount of pressure you use varies based on the coarseness of the stone. Now on the coarsest stone, if I've got a really dull knife, I'm pushing on it pretty heavy. I'm leaning on it with my weight. As I get to the medium stone, I'm applying less pressure. And at the very end, when I'm just trying to take the burr off, I'm barely putting any pressure on the knife at all. I'm just letting the weight of the knife touch the stone and slide it across. And a good way, you can tell if it's sharp by just putting your thumb and pulling this way. Never go this way. You're going to cut yourself if you do that. But go across, and you can feel if it's catching on your skin, that's a good sign. And then if you push up and feel nothing, there's no burr. But if you push up and feel a very slight grip, the burr's there. And honestly, I will tell you, it's very difficult to start to feel that. It takes a long time to get used to that. Okay, so let's finish my knife off. Again, mineral oil, fine setting. I want to lock my feet in place, get my knees ready to move. I'm at my angle. And then let's go here. One thing I forgot to mention, as you can see how the tip of this knife is curved. So as I go to the very end, I'm pulling up slightly, not with my wrist, but with my body, so that this lifts up a little bit, just so I can make sure I get the knife sharpened all the way to the very tip. If you don't do that, you'll get your knife sharpened here, but the tip won't be sharp. So let me exaggerate that a little bit. I'm kind of going like that. And I can feel this thing super, super sharp, so that's great. Now I want to take that burr off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the knife and I'm going to run it backwards, but at that same angle. And I'm basically doing that same motion, but in reverse. And I can feel that knife's gotten super sharp now. So my burr's off, my blade is there. And then the final thing I'm going to do is just hone it. Again, let that knife sing, not grind. Now that we've got a super sharp knife, which is safe and effective, in the next video, we'll go over the classic French cuts, dices, chops, julienne, batonette, and brunoise. My name's Chef Jeremy with Lineage Culinary. Thank you for watching.